How's it, Bills fans? I'm Lance Nelson, president of Built-in Buffalo. To my left, Scott Casson. To my right, Benjamin Shoop. Look at how angry he is at Boise State losing right now.
Not
Micah Parsons got traded today. Holy smokes. And Ben is so mad that the Bills did not get him. He thinks Brandon Beane should have done that. What's up, Shoop?
nothing much. Nothing much. I am fired up about it. That's for sure. Not in that way that you said,
I
but
know, I know. I had to get in there, though.
yeah, definitely fired up about it. More so just because of the talk around it. But
Because of the
it's definitely
implications.
a shock. It sucks for Dallas losing their superstar NBA player, and now they're losing their superstar edge rusher in the same year.
Does that mean they're getting the number one pick next year?
Well, maybe
Arch Manning to Dallas.
Arch Manning to Dallas. Oh gosh, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, it's been a definitely eventful day in the NFL. Getting closer. I believe we're 10 days away from kickoff. So we're getting there, and
Exactly,
we finally have our
7 to just NFL in general.
Yeah. Yep.
1 week from today, there will be an NFL game.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right, we do all be there.
But I'm not mad that Micah Parsons didn't go to the Bills. Would have been really hard to make that work. And now I'm happy that we don't have to talk about it anymore, and we can go back to talking about more exciting things, like if they're going to sign Gabe Davis or not.
Yeah, dude, all afternoon it's like we're talking, and then finally, like, boom, it hits. Like, all right, well, we don't have to talk about that anymore. Here we go, and we can move on. So, super stoked that he didn't go to the AFC. And look, there was never a chance really for the financials to work out, despite what Greg Tom said or anybody else says. There's not really a way to make it work because, again, despite what Dan Fates says, the salary cap is quite real. So,
Yeah.
it's just not going to happen. And it would have been nice. Certainly, my teenage Madden era Lance Nelson was hoping for this thing to get done, and just wasn't able to get done because you got to have the rest of the team on the field, and you got to be able to pay some other people. And you can't right now if you have two guys making up like 30% of your cap. So
Yeah. I mean, it's also, I think, part of it is, yes, the money. Not you could have made the money work this year. You could have. Greg did a great job explaining to everybody how you could make it happen this year. But next year, you probably could have made it happen, but you would have really had to pay him probably more than 188 because it seems like he wants to get paid. Scott said it before the show. He wants to get paid now. So if you're going to front load it, you're going to have to bump the money up. It will be a huge mess. You're going to have to figure out what you're going to do next year. It would just be it would be a lot. And I think Bills fans would be very upset then next year about what the team, some of the positions would look like starting wise. So
wouldn't even be able to finish the stadium.
Yeah. Terry would have had to give him part ownership of the stadium or something.
Give him the Sabres.
Yeah, just give him the Sabres. I don't know if he'd want.
Oh, dude, what if he just traded Jerry Jones to Sabres for Micah Parsons or something? That would have been cool. Anyways, all right, let's get into some Buffalo Bills stuff here, if you guys don't mind. We do have a 53-man roster here. Just give a quick overview, and we're going to get into the weeds on a couple things, but initial reaction when you saw it come out. Start with you, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, one, very happy Tyrell Shavers is on this roster. I think we all kind of, especially after the last preseason game, felt like it was a lock, but still in the back of your head, you're always like, oh, there's that chance they don't put him on there. So I'm happy he's there. I wouldn't say there's too many shocks when it comes to who made it, who didn't. I'm a little shocked about Olafosho, but at the same time, I do understand that they're making the decision to say, hey, we like Shaq Thompson. Olafosho just hasn't really lived up to it yet. So I do get, moving on from him. It was a good shot in the dark. I believe he's a late 5th round pick, if I'm not mistaken, for him. So, 5th round picks, not all of them work out. Brandon Beane obviously has had a couple work out, but not all of them work out. So, nothing too shocking. I guess the only shocking move for me would actually be the fact that they then brought somebody else in afterwards and signed, I believe it was Sam Franklin Jr., was it, to the 53? The safety who plays with a lot of special teams, very good special teamer. But I was a little shocked
That's the
to
boy.
see them, make that move, considering how many guys we were talking about. Oh, they could make this roster pretty easily. So, yeah, nothing too shocking for me.
Yeah, basically the same. There weren't really a whole bunch of spots up for grabs, which on a team like the Bills, that's the way it is every year. Happy Shavers is on there. I know I didn't have him on my initial roster prediction, but I'm happy that he made it. Good for him. We'll see if he sticks now, and with how much the Bills use their 5 and 6 receiver. I don't know. I hope he gets some action, but who knows? On the defensive side of the ball, my guy Dane didn't make it, which is probably for the best, but with questions about Trey White and his health, we'll see if Dane doesn't find himself on the active roster in some of these early games. But yeah, not a ton of surprises, but excited for Shavers, excited that we have a roster and they don't have to make any big time decisions until week 7.
For sure. Yeah, that'll be exciting to see around the bye week there. It'll be a little bit easier too, I think, because you may have it figure itself out with injuries, or you may have it figure itself out with this guy just isn't ready yet, or what have you. So definitely excited to see how that works. But definitely sort of what we expected. I know I had Laviska Shenault there on mine, and it was never going to happen. It was always going to be Codrington there, and I should have thrown Shavers in and took off Eddie. But that was really to be expected. I think we didn't know a couple things with SVPG or whatnot, and now we do. And we still don't know a whole lot about some guys. We'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, you just pulled up that comment. So there's a couple iterations of this, and either way you slice it, TJ, thanks for the comment, brother. Appreciate you being here and shouting out. I think the Bills will blitz from time to time, but they're not their defensive philosophy and their strategy is to not blitz as much in general. So their blitz percentages might be a little bit down, but I think they oftentimes will bring blitzes from anywhere, safeties included. Teron Johnson's a really good blitzer from the nickel spot, so I think they like to do that. But I also think that they're not afraid to bring. Poyer used to do it all the time, right? So they're not afraid to bring a safety.
Yeah, and more than just like having them blitz, they bring safeties down into the box pretty often. The Sean McDermott's secondary, it's not necessarily positionless because it isn't, but he puts guys in a lot of different places, and that's what makes their defense is so good and hard for quarterbacks is you don't know where guys are going to go. Like you think easy example last year in the Jets game, that interception that Taryn had on that throw down the red line, as Aaron Rodgers said, that sealed that win. Taryn Johnson backed up and played like a deep half. Like he essentially became a safety, and one of the safeties dropped down in the box. So they use the safeties really creatively. And I think Rapp and Bishop can both, come down and play in the box, and they can both cover. So I'm excited to see how they use them. They're obviously not Poyer and Hyde ability, but their versatility is definitely something to be excited about.
Speaking of the man, give your quick thoughts here, Ben, on Jordan Poyer returning to the Buffalo Bills as a practice squad member.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to have a guy that knows system, a veteran, a very good football player in his prime. He was a guy who obviously, spent a lot of his career here, kind of made his career into what it has been here. So, it's always good, especially when you have a guy like Cole Bishop there who's still learning. I think it's good you had Micah Hyde last year in his ear. Now you're going to have Jordan Poyer for probably even longer than he was there. So, I like it. And, I don't expect him to play it down for the Bills. If he does, it's going to have to be because of injury, I think. And again, who knows? Maybe all of a sudden he has to be put in and he is a serviceable guy and, he doesn't look how he did last year because he definitely looked pretty brutal. But, it never hurts to have those guys. I know people, especially at first, people thought Poyer and Jordan Phillips were going to be on the active roster. But it does not appear that way, where I don't think either of them will be here. Just good locker room guys. Good to have. You can never have too many of that.
Yeah, on the practice squad now, especially with the new rules, as many guys as you can have who can just plug and play and come in and know the system is great. And I kind of disagree with you a little bit. I think Poyer might actually be elevated for a game or two. I don't think it's going to be like Micah Hyde where he's there just to be a coach and they come out and say like he's not playing. Like I think Poyer might actually get into a game at some point in the season. I'm not saying he plays big. I'm not saying he plays a large percentage of snaps, but I do think we'll see him at some point. But yeah, as many guys as you can have who know the system, especially in those veteran spots that you can just plug and play if you need to in an emergency, is huge. And a lot of people complaining about it, like, oh, we're bringing back, guys who were like, if this was 2019, our secondary would be real scary. But like, who else would you rather have at my practice squad spot? Like, you're not going to find anyone better than Jordan Poyer. So yeah, excited about him. He's going to be good for the locker room, going to be good for the young safeties, and just happy to have him back.
Right on. So practice squad: Buechele, Frank Gore Jr., Gosnell, Wilkerson, Kaliki Latu, Travis Clayton, Dan Feeney, Kendrick Green, Zion Logue, Jordan Phillips, Jimmy Charlo, Keontae Jenkins. Daquan Hardy was initially, and he got released. Dane Jackson, Jordan Poyer, Sam Franklin, and then we also just signed about 8 hours ago was announced Jalen Kimber, a cornerback, and defensive end Andre Jones Jr. to the practice squad. So solid practice squad overall. And I do think it's important to have guys down there that may be able to rise up and just be in the right spot, not necessarily play at a high level, but at least be able to go in there and be in the right spot if the right injuries happen on this team and it's necessary, or if it's just, Bishop's not getting it week one. And I don't know if Poyer's going to be there week one. It's probably too short to come around, but if Bishop's not getting it early on and he might just need a rest, you may opt for Poyer if he's up for it. But we have to see what he's capable of right now, just coming off of not being in football for a bit here. So anything else you guys want to touch on? I guess we did kind of a little bit of the practice squad there. I think we just focused on Phillips and Poyer for the most part. Is there anything else you guys have on that?
No, you spend more time talking about a practice squad than anyone should.
I was maybe a little shocked that Frank Gore Jr. didn't go elsewhere, maybe just for a better opportunity.
Nobody got poached, really.
Yeah, but glad he's here. I love Wilkerson, and I'm very happy Jimmy Charlo, he's back here because who knows, if you can learn the system a little bit more, get a little bit more experience, maybe he can be a special teams guy next year.
Hi, Mom. So injury updates. We don't have a ton, I guess. Benford kind of went out on Friday and then sat again yesterday. I didn't get an update today. I don't know if you guys saw anything, but Trey White's still sort of up in the air other than he's not on IR, and we'll see what that means for his week one status once we get closer to the game. Now that we're in sort of game modes and things like that, we're going to not see anything until the Bills officially have to put something out. So we'll kind of be waiting with some bated breath there to see what the injury report looks like coming out in a few days here. Next Wednesday it should be out. So Grable and Mad Max went to the IR, so they'll be out for the first 4 weeks. It sounded like Max had a chance to get back, but he wouldn't be able to really play until week 2 or 3, and then he would need a couple weeks to ramp up anyway. So makes a lot of sense, and we'll see what happens from there. Anything else you guys want to add on the injury front?
I'm definitely, I don't think, especially the cornerbacks injuries, Trey or Benford, if they're not, doesn't seem like they're urgent to kind of get somebody else in there. So to me, it kind of just tells me neither of them are too serious. Trey obviously might be out week one, just depending. But them not putting him on IR is a good sign, and saying that it's definitely not a long term, I believe is what Bean said. That's a good sign. So I know corner, a lot of people were freaking out. I mean, I was definitely a little bit freaked out as well about, who's going to be the starting cornerback week one. But even so, as long as they're not major injuries and they can be good by end of season, I'm good.
Yeah, we're at the point of the season now. We're at the actual season, so we're not going to know what any injuries are until the injury reports come out. don't want to give any competitive advantage or anything like that. So yeah, we're going to find out on Wednesday when the rest of the world finds out, because we don't want the Ravens finding out.
Right on. All right. Well, we got a little bit of a special guest coming here. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it, so we didn't promote too much, but that comes with a bit of an announcement. So let me just get my things squared away here to where we want to be. I think we want to go here. Bring on Mr. Drew Surza, Wing King. What's going on, Drew? How are you, sir?
A little bit of a special guest. That is quite the introduction, I have to tell you, Lance.
Absolutely. We weren't sure if you were making it, obviously, but we were definitely happy that you could.
Yeah, we're in the process of setting up for the Wingfest right now in the pouring rain, and oh god, there's a call. So I took a break. I got a hotel room here as like my office at the Hyatt. They're great people, and just had to chill out a bit. I'm like, I'm gonna call my friends. So
Appreciate
I want to
you,
talk
man.
to you. I think we guys talking about the game coming up next Sunday.
Yeah, and I do want to just announce, like, guys, I'm gonna be a judge of the National Chicken Wing Festival on Saturday. So really appreciate Drew for having me for that, and definitely one of the exciting times of my life to go out and eat some chicken wings free of charge. I mean, that's not a bad deal.
Free's it's always Buffalo's favorite flavor, right? Free.
Yeah.
But you're reaching the pinnacle of success, Lance, with this.
I know it. So what time are we starting on? So the event starts on noon Saturday or 1 o'clock?
No, actually, we're starting earlier. We're starting at 11 o'clock a.m. both
11,
days
okay.
Because personally, I feel like chicken wings is a great breakfast food. So I thought we had just started out a little earlier, get the college kids there when they wake up. But yeah, 11 o'clock to 8 on Saturday.
Salem Field this year?
Yeah, Salem Field. We're going back to our home. We were there for 19 years. Then we relocated to the Bills Stadium Highmark for 4 years. But it was time to come back home. The Bisons are great people, and the Bills were great too. But being in the bowl of the baseball stadium is really special. It's much more intimate, and everything's there. The scoreboard, the stage, no matter where you are, you're there. So when you're on the field, and it's kind of cool looking up and knowing you're on a baseball field. It's going to be fun. We have 15 different restaurants from across the country, 100 different styles of sauces. They bring their own regional flavors in, and 63 new sauces from the previous year. And they're crazy, fun sauces, but we also have traditional medium and hot wings too, and barbecue. So there's a little bit of everything for people when it comes to wings.
Amazing. I can't wait. I'll definitely take my antacid before I head out there, maybe 2 of them, just to make sure I don't get an ulcer while I'm there. So, yeah, anything else, Drew, I guess you want to mention? I guess, what are your thoughts? We're kind of going through the roster. We didn't really make it to preview in week 1. We'll bring up here one of our guys, our brand new sponsor. Thanks to Dennis out there at 716 Barbershop. Thoughts on Jimmy Charlo. Drew, what do you think about how the practice squad shaped out and bringing back guys like Frank Gore Jr. and Jimmy Charlo, things like that?
Well, Charlo, was it the last game? I was watching part of it. He was in every play when I was watching. There was a stretch. It was like all about it. Number 35, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Played nickel as a linebacker. So
that's Milano's position, right?
Milano's linebacker. Treron Johnson would be the nickel.
He played linebacker last game. He played nickel against the Bears.
Gotcha. Yeah. You know what worries me? This opening game worries me a lot. Playing the Ravens. The Ravens are coming back to the scene of the crime, right? So they're going to be all wired up, and that running back quarterback combination, as we know, is really tough to stop. And it just seems like we've had injuries already. I know every team has injuries, but especially defensively. And I just don't feel like our defense is in sync yet. It's nobody's fault. And that really worries me going in. I'm not worried about Josh in the offense. I think, they don't need a lot of preseason work. I feel comfortable there. But I just worry about the defense being in sync, against the Ravens. It was just probably the worst team to open against. I know we got blown out the one game in Chicago. I don't count that, but just the way we looked and the mistakes we made, it was like to have 4 quarters of bad football. That's not a Buffalo Bills preseason game even, So I just worry about Sunday.
Yeah, I'm not too worried because look, even if they do go out there and lose week one, we're probably going to be seeing these guys in the playoffs, and we're not
Yeah,
going to have
yeah,
guys like Michael Hoyt and Larry Joby on the field week one. So I think that we
yeah,
actually have a little bit of an advantage where they're not going to see our full squad and our full potential early on in the season. So they can kind of do the whole thing where they beat us in the regular season but can't get it done when it comes postseason. What do you guys think about any of that? Charlo, the practice squad that we talked about there, and then a little bit about his concern with week one against the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, that's the good part is that it is week one. So even if they do look rough, they can turn it around. You saw it last year with like Lance said, where it was, they looked really bad against the Ravens. I believe it was week 3 or 4 last year. 4. Yeah. So that's the good part is that if there are a lot of mistakes, hopefully they can learn from it. I do still think that they should be okay. I think it'll be a close game, a good game. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely, especially Hairston won't be out there either. So, you're going to be missing what's going on with the corners, safeties. We got, Cole Bishop, who's now going into second year. There's question marks around him. So there are definitely a lot of questions around this defense. But at the same time, like Lance said, it's they got plenty of time then to clean it up and hopefully then clean it up. And usually I feel like any early season woes they do as the season goes on fix. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I definitely think it'll be a good game. Defense might be one of those things where we look back at the end of the game and say, they should have been better. But like I said, long season, got a lot of practices after. They'll watch a lot of film if they do look rough. But we'll see.
Yeah, first of all, about Jimmy Charlo, really happy for him. Cool story. You love when guys from the service academies can make it. Tore his ACL in his first preseason game last year, so he came into camp late, off of an injury, and made an impact in like 2 weeks and was able to stick on the practice squad. So good for him. Who knows where he goes after this, but just a really good story that I thought Hard Knocks did a good job of highlighting just how hard of a worker he is. And I don't think Brandon Beane's ever heard anything funnier in his life than someone saying that the Army kid has a good work ethic. Like, that was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. But as far as the defense goes, I'm always worried about them week one, and I'm always worried when they play teams like the Ravens and quarterback Lamar Jackson. Like, I don't really think it matters how they've been looking. Like, look at last year. People were saying our defense was one of the top in the league, and the Bills are one of the best teams in the league. And through the first 3 games, then they hung like 42 on us down here in Baltimore. So they're just a really good team that you're worried about every time you play. I'm not worried about how they looked in the preseason because none of the guys that were in that game will be playing in this one really for the most part. So always worried when you play guys like Lamar, play guys like Pat Mahomes, play guys like Joe Burrow. Just a bummer that they're all in our conference. We'll probably have to play all of them in the playoffs again. But yeah, at least it's week one and they're banged up, and we'll see them again later in the season. And I think it'll go a little bit better for us then.
Right on. On a lighter note, again, I just pulled this up here. Get out to the Buffalo Wing Festival Saturday, Sunday here at Salen's Field, starting at 11 each day. So again, I'll be a judge there for the National Chicken Wing Fest, and we're joined here by the Wing King, Drew Surza. So appreciate you, Drew, for stopping by. Did you watch any of Hard Knocks? We're going to get into a little bit of that. Do you have any thoughts on how they're doing with the HBO production of Hard Knocks?
I've been so busy, I'll be honest. I haven't watched a lot of TV, but I saw the first one.
Nice.
I thought the first one was cool but weird. There was some, with Dion and his car racing with his kids, and who had the snakes? Who had the snakes around his neck?
AJ Epinesa.
AJ Epinesa. I mean, he's great. That was it was just kind of weird. But I heard the second one was really good. Is that when Andrew Sesson, Joe was featured? Was that the second one?
Yep.
Yeah, Andreessen, yeah.
I must have seen the second one because when Joe was featured, I thought that was cool.
I live here in Lancaster, so they were kind of production all around and everything like that. They had a big powwow down there to watch the episode.
Oh, that's cool. I thought that I'd like the second one. I thought that was better than the first one, and the first one too. I mean, how is it not about Josh? It's funny. I was on. I did a show on Channel 2 today with this restaurant from Wyoming, Laramie, Wyoming, Double Dubs, and that was
Double Dubs is great.
Yeah, that was Josh Allen's favorite wing when he was out in University of Wyoming, and Josh actually called me personally to see if I could invite them to the Wing Fest.
Nice.
Cool.
And Josh came. It was 2018. I remember being at the field house. I was invited when they had the draft party, and that's when they drafted Josh Allen. Were you guys there at all?
No, I was living in Syracuse at the time, so that was a fun time. But I watched it at a Bills backers bar there. I remember.
So we're there as all season ticket holders, and the Bills select Josh Allen out of Wyoming, and everybody's yelling, "It's the Ron Josh! It's the Ron Josh!" and all that crap. And it's like, and when Josh came to the Wingfest, he was just like Wyoming Josh, you know. And Josh has always been just a down to earth, great guy, and to see his development on the field, it's funny. It's so difficult to take a college quarterback and develop the mechanics after they've already gone to that point. But boy, did they fix his mechanics and how he's matured as a football player. He's always been a mature human being, but he is when people come to the Wingfest, everybody talks about Josh Allen, and to have a guy like him as a face of Buffalo and not just as a football team, as a city, I think he's created this aura around the league where if you've got a favorite football team, it's not the Bills, then the Bills are your second favorite team,
Yep.
And I think we've got a culture, and I'm worried about the opening game, but whenever you play Baltimore, it's a 50-50 game, right? Whether it's week 13 or week 1. It's great to have a team like the Bills. When you go on the field, you always have a chance to win. And we've had that for the last several years. So it's great to be a Buffalonian watching football.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely think that's we're in an era right now with Josh that we're definitely lucky to be covering and watching and being fans of the team for sure. So super excited about that. Super excited about some wings on Saturday. That'll be great. And then I got to head right over to Dion Dawkins is doing the car show at the stadium. So I wasn't sure how that was all going to work out. If I didn't realize it was at Salem Field at first for the Wing Fest. I was like, oh, do I just walk out to the parking lot and go to the car show after the Wing Fest, or what's going on? So, very excited. This is going to be a busy weekend and super excited. So shout out to Drew with the Wing Fest this weekend, and then also to our other sponsors here, Monster Energy, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo, and our newest sponsor, 71 Slicks Barbershop. Go out there. And we'll post the link here to book your cut if you so choose. So after that, we're going to get into some roster reactions. Drew, I don't know how long you want to stick around or how long you're available for, brother, but let us know. We'll just keep rolling. And then if you have to feel free to jump off whenever you need to get out of here. But if you would, we'll just keep rolling with our questions, and welcome to chime in.
Sounds good.
So the roster reactions, Ben, you want to take us through what you got there?
Yeah. We talked a little bit about the roster a little bit, but first question is just, what is your biggest surprise, I guess, from the roster, whether it's somebody they cut, somebody they kept, a certain position group of how they've set it up at all. There weren't, like I had mentioned earlier, there weren't too many shocking cuts or too many shocking keeps, but Scott, we can start with you, so we'll go left to right here. Scott, what's the biggest surprise to you?
Look at you knowing your left from your right. I didn't really have any crazy surprises. Like we talked about it earlier, it all went pretty chalk. If I had to say one, I know like Dane Jackson had a terrible preseason, but I was kind of surprised he didn't make it. But like I don't know if he would have made it over. That's what was kind of tough, just especially. I guess they knew that Trey White's injury wasn't serious at the time, but we didn't know that. So it felt like maybe they may try to keep an extra corner, but he's on the practice squad, so they can elevate him if they need him earlier, but not really a ton of surprises, which is like kind of a good thing. Like I said, there's not a lot of spots up for grabs on good teams, just because they're so deep and they have good spots at every position. Keeping 6 receivers was a little surprising as well, just because they typically don't do that. But Shavers just made it impossible to cut him with how well he played. And I think they really like Elijah Moore and Curtis Samuel and how dynamic they can be. I know they've been either injured or didn't have a great preseason, but they're both really dynamic football players. And if you get the ball in their hands, they can do some really special things. So excited to see how that works out. But yeah, not a ton of surprises, but I kind of thought Dane might find his way on the team, and he kind of did.
Oh, sorry, Scott, you cut out there a little bit at the very, very end. But yeah, so Lance, do you got any surprises for you? I know it's not, like I said, not a ton, but anything
Yeah.
that stood out to you with this roster?
Not a big surprise, I guess. I just didn't know, or we didn't really hear much about Cedric Van Prang Granger, so I was surprised that he kind of came back. You heard a little bit, if you follow guys like Ryan Talbot and things like that, they're talking about maybe starting on the PUP list and whatnot. So I wasn't really sure, but sort of a positive surprise. I'm glad that SVPG is able to come back and be a part of this team early on. I think that bodes well for the Bills. Good to get him back in the swing of things, and it's unknown what's going to be going on with Connor McGovern being the last year of his contract. So good to have options and be able to have him starting to get some more reps and get back into the feng shui.
Drew, what about you? Was there anything that kind of stood out to you? Was it, Shavers was mentioned by Scott, or just really anything when it comes to this team and who made the final cut? Was there somebody that didn't make it? Was anybody really shocking to you at all?
It was kind of like mellow. It wasn't anything real shocking. You mentioned Dane Jackson. I'm a Dane Jackson fan because I got some friends in Pittsburgh. And when he came to Buffalo, they're all pumped up. And I went to Mars from Pittsburgh. I'm glad he's on the practice squad. Having a lot of receivers, I'm not surprised at that at all, because I think going into a season, I think Josh just finds guys that he gets comfortable with, and I think that will develop more as the season goes along. So I'm glad 6 receivers we kept. I like that, I like that. So I think it gives Josh options and who he feels and gets comfortable with and who gets comfortable with him. Training camp is in practice is a lot different than a real game, right? So I think having more receivers the better going in.
Yeah, I think as much as I had
keep 8 like New England.
Yeah, that's crazy. But although I think they have 7 now, because I think they cut Kendrick Bourne from now.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I was a little bit surprised that they actually did keep 6. I know before we had the predictions, and I did have 6 on there, but in the back of my head, I was like, "There's just no way they're going to keep 6. They never do."
You're just so used to being wrong.
Yeah, just so used to being wrong. But yeah, I'm glad they did, and I think it was perfect what Drew said, where this year you kind of learned last year that he finds his guys, and to have more guys be able to get reps with Josh, and by the end of the year you kind of know then, okay, out of these 6, these are the go-to guys, instead of, oh, we have 5, if one of them goes down or 2 of them go down, whatever it is, oh, there's only 3 guys that are available that Josh has had chemistry with. So I do like that they kept 6. It's one of my favorite parts of the lineup. So yeah, I'm glad, and I already mentioned Shavers for me. I'm just ecstatic that he made the team. So is there anything that you don't like about the roster, whether it's a certain position group? Now we'll go right to left here. So Drew, when it comes to what you don't like, is there anything, certain roster or position group that you're kind of worried about more than the others, or is there anything, just even a specific player on the team that you don't love that's still here, or just overall, what's something that you just are kind of worried about with this roster?
I've been so busy, I haven't been in tune to as much as normal, but did I hear they brought Jordan Poyer back?
He's on the practice squad, yeah, but
practice squad
could definitely be called up.
Yeah, I just go back to, like, Trey, I know it's not a bad injury, but the guy's had injuries. I mean, he's one bad footing away from a serious injury. I just worry about our secondary. It just seems like there's a lot of shuffling around, and I know that happens with injuries. And I look at, like you say, we got a tough division. I mean, with quarterbacks. I mean, with Baltimore, you got Cincinnati. I mean, Kansas City. I mean, the American Conference is it's tough to make it all the way to the Super Bowl. And I just worry about that. It's nobody's fault. I mean, injuries are injuries, but it just feels like bringing back Jordan Poyer, good thing for Jordan, he doesn't have to face Josh Allen twice a year anymore, right? So I guess that's where I worry a little bit, especially when you got a big fullback busting through that line, and now you need your safety to make the tackle. I just worry about certain things like that.
What do you got,
Derrick
Lance?
Henry.
Yeah. Do you want to add anything about secondary, or do you got something different, Lance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that we're bringing in kickers for tryouts right now. The main roster I'm really fine with. We don't know if Tyler Bass is still dealing with something or if they're thinking about confidence issues given the missed kick in the last preseason game. I would assume it's the injury more than that, but just sort of uncertainty there, trying out some kickers and things like that. I really don't have much that I don't like about this roster. It's pretty nice and it was pretty predictable for the most part. And, the 51st, second, and third kind of guy were a little bit different than we thought, but otherwise, barring the guys we didn't really know injury status of, it was all pretty much what we thought. And I like this team. I like this roster. People say, oh, we only like it because Josh Allen's on the team. And yeah, 100%. Like, that's part of the team. He's part of the roster. And we like everything a little bit more because he's our quarterback. So, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm going to add to a little bit from mine onto what Drew said. I am definitely a little bit worried about the secondary, but more specifically, and I knew he was going to make the roster, said it last week. And he's a great person, obviously the story is a crazy story. Damar Hamlin, as much as I love him as a person and a leader in the community, on the football field, he struggles. And him being really so far the next man up if Rapp or Bishop go down worries me a little bit, just because the only other guy that you have there really is a rookie. So it's just I'm not sure, and I guess you have Cam Lewis as well, but it's just that's really kind of what kind of I don't like about the roster. And again, Damar can give you some quality snaps, but we saw it last year against the Ravens. Can struggle. He's a little bit a little bit smaller of a safety. So if you go up against a guy like Derrick Henry, sometimes it might go bad. So
well, it's going to go bad for 99% of the safeties.
That's true. That's very true. But yeah, like I said, though, great guy, great person, great story. I do think that, yes, what happened with him did kind of derail his career a little bit, just because, it's a big step back. You got to come back from that. But I that's the one major worry I have is if Rapp or Bishop go down, can you rely on him for however many games to step up and play consistent football? So that's, I guess, yeah, secondary, I'm going to add a little bit to that and go into that specifically, but that's what I'm going to say for my biggest, I guess. I don't want to say really don't like it, but it's just a worry for me is how will he look if he does need to step up? Scott, what do you got?
Tell me, who do you love?
Who do I love?
All right, that's way after Scott tells us what he hates.
Oh yeah, we'll do that.
All right, jump the gun. I really liked that line. Sorry.
Go ahead, Scott.
I'll act surprised when you say it after this. Okay. Nothing I really don't like. To kind of go off what you're saying on Damar, like, is he a starting caliber safety in the league? No, probably not, but they're not asking him to be that. Like, he's a depth safety, which is where he should be. Like, he's good enough to do that. And if guys get hurt, like, there's going to be a drop-off no matter who it is, just because if there wasn't going to be a drop-off, then that person would be starting. So as far as depth safeties go, having someone who has 2 years of starting experience, like, you could do a lot worse. He didn't look great in the preseason, but again, he's another guy who knows the system, who's cheap, and that's something that's really important on this team with how much they're paying Josh Allen and some other guys now. So nothing I really don't like, but I think Damar as a depth safety is fine. Hopefully he doesn't have to play, but given Rapp and Bishop's recent history, there's a decent chance you can pencil him in for 3 or 4 starts, and those will be adventures. But I do have something that I do like, though, Lance.
What do you love?
I love that we rigged the system and kept 57 players. I love that a lot. We got creative with stashing a couple guys on IR. Grable, who knows how hurt he actually is, but he made it through and he's on IR. Maxwell Harrison probably could have come back by week 2 or 3, but not worth it. Just put him on IR, let him fully heal. And then we got the 2 suspension guys who are coming back eventually. So they're going to have some tough decisions to make when these guys come off IR and they come back off suspensions. But I love that Brandon Mead basically rostered 57 players. I think that was slick.
Yeah, I like that Cedric Van Pran Granger was a go here, and I like that. I honestly like the fact that we have week 1 where we're not going to put our best lineup out there, and then teams that we may see, like the Ravens that we may see in the playoffs, are going to not really know what the Bills are at their best.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted and I was actually talking, but I just didn't realize I pulled the lamp there on that one. But yeah, for what I like, Scott, you kind of touched on D-line, right? Where, I'm just glad they kept Dwayne Carter. I really am. I'm glad they didn't give up on him early. I know depending on what you got, my answer would have changed if you could have gotten somehow a 3rd round pick back like you spent on him. But I just don't like getting rid of a guy that's going into his 2nd year. So I'm glad they kept Dwayne Carter. I like the D-line so far. So yeah, Drew, I know you kind of touched a little bit on what you liked, but is there anything else? I don't know if you have anything else that you want to add to what you like about this roster.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about the line. Offensive line, I think we're so solid, right?
Best offensive line on the planet, right?
Yeah, and I
said that earlier in a chat, so I was just kind of messing with these guys.
That's so important for a lot of reasons, especially the health of Josh Allen, right? So I think, Lance, I mean, you're very positive about this. I am positive about the season too. I think, again, it is a league with some elite teams, and we're one of them. And you're just going to have to win games. You're going to have to can't give away games. You got to make plays, and teams are going to make plays against you. So
I'll put it like this, Drew. Like this team won 13 games last year. I mean, they've been really good over the last 5-6 years, right? I mean, I get there's holes on every roster, there's holes on every team. So like, I don't understand any sort of like sky is falling or any sort of negativity around this, because this is like one of the most fun times in our lives to be a fan of this team, and like you got to enjoy it, man. And so that's kind of why I'm very high. People call me a homer or whatever else, because I'm just sort of high, and I'm having a good time with it, because like if certain things happen, things could turn around and go a different way, but like the way things are right now, I like it. I'm down. Allen's our quarterback, and it's really it's exciting to me. I've been a big fan my whole life, coming to games since a young age when my uncle lived out here, and it's just been a very positive influence for me, and I just think we definitely should be happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I didn't see the playoffs till I was 17 years old, maybe even 18, 17. No, I was 17 years old. So yeah, I mean, you got to just enjoy these guys and being able to have an offense the way it does, because I grew up with Kelvin Benjamin as my wide receiver 1. I grew up with not so some of the greatest players. So yeah, it's I'm very, very grateful to have what we have right now. Josh Allen, the offensive line, the receivers, tight ends, running backs. It's gonna be a great year offensively, that's for sure. Yeah. So I'm not sure. Are we doing this last topic here that we got?
You're leading. If you say it, we'll talk about it.
All right.
I kind of touched on a little bit earlier about like that's sort of the exciting part of what's going to go down around the bye week is what happens when Hoyt and Ogunjobi do come back, and I think it's going to play itself out. I think whether it's an injury or a guy playing himself off the team as a whole, I think it just is something's going to happen to figure itself out to where you're not really going to have to wonder. The only thing I could see is like if something's going so well that they don't even want to bring Ogunjobi back into the fold because those guys are playing, like I don't know, that the contract maybe prohibits that, but that's something that could be surprising. But I think they're going to want him in, and I don't know what they're going to do at the D tackle, but I think it's pretty easy to see that it might work itself out on the defensive end part of it, because Hoyt's absolute firecracker coming in, and he's gonna change this team so much once he's active.
I'm actually going to switch up the question a little bit for you, Lance. So since you already touched on a little bit, and we've kind of touched on the D-line a lot, with those two out, Ogunjobi and Hoyt for the first 6 weeks, which defensive linemen are you looking forward to seeing the most, whether it's Rousseau or any of the rookies and TJ Sanders, AJ Epinesa, Joey Bosa, and like who is the one
Can
guy?
you name the rest of them, please?
I like to throw some names out there, right? Throw some names out there. So, you know what? Scott's going last on this one. Lance, who is the one guy that you're looking for on the defensive line to step up during those 6 weeks that those two are out?
I'm going to cheat. I'm going to say two, because I really want to see Joey Bosa play at full tilt here, but B, I want to see AJ Epinesa. Is there a scenario in your mind, and I'm going to counter with a question, I'm sorry for doing this, but I'm not sorry. Is there a realm of possibility where AJ Epinesa plays well enough for the Bills to get a good enough offer for him, and then that way that's the guy they move on from when Hoyt comes back?
I think if he plays well enough, they're not going to want to get rid of him.
That part.
So, yeah, I think it's if he struggles, then they might be able to sell him and say, hey, it's just our system. You know, it's not working for him. He's still, you know, relatively youngish, I believe. Don't know his exact age, but I want to say around 27, if I'm not wrong, maybe even a little bit older than that. But a guy that, you know, maybe you can sell him that way. But yeah, if he's playing well and you trade him, I also would love to see the reaction of Bills fans.
Because you're going to have to, he's 26 right now. He'll be 27 on September 15th. But it's just a matter of like, okay, then your option really is, if everything's healthy, your option is to get Landon Jackson or Javon Solomon to the practice squad, maybe, I guess, is what your option is there.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much what you do. Probably more Javon Solomon would be my guess. Just because
I don't know. It looks like it's going to be Landon Jackson right now. That would have to.
I don't think he'll make it to the
just
practice
because
squad.
I was just say just because it's a third-round pick, that's tough to set in the practice squad in his rookie year. But at the end of the day, like, I'll be honest, I don't expect AJ Epinesa to play well enough for him to be like, oh, we have to keep him over a lot of other guys. I don't think he'll play bad, but I just don't think he'll play great. So I think he'll be kind of what he's been, and it's a serviceable edge rusher. So yeah, we'll see, but yeah, I think if he plays well enough, they'll have to keep him, and you can't trade him away if he's playing very well. But yeah, Scott, you got anything to add about AJ Epinesa?
Yeah, I don't think if he's playing well, you trade him. If you have a good edge rusher and you're a team trying to win the Super Bowl, you don't go giving them away. So yeah, I don't think he gets moved. But I agree with you, Lance. I think it'll play itself out. Someone will get hurt. Something will happen. It's football. Hopefully it doesn't, but I could see one of those 6 receivers maybe on the chopping block, or maybe one of them getting traded. John mentioned Codrington in the comments. I don't think so. I think they like Codrington. Like, he's a really good punt returner, and those are hard to find. So it'll definitely be interesting because there are 4 guys on the IR and who are suspended who have spots on the roster. So that means 4 guys need to go away. And I don't know. It'll be tough. It'll be interesting. Happy that I don't have to make that decision.
Yeah. Drew, for you, is there anybody on the defensive line that you're just really excited to see this year? Any of the new guys returning? Anybody on there?
Yeah, I got 2 thoughts. First of all, I'm excited to see Joey Bosa play, and stay healthy. Greg Rousseau is going to be Greg Rousseau, right? But he's the kind of guy, boy, if he can make a difference and really blend in with the chemistry, I think it's great. And to the point of like Epinesa, different guys. A lot of times, if you got a guy that's 85-90% as good as the other guy, but you can save a lot of money, right, in the future, that means something. But I think the Bills are at the point now, it's not about economics. It's about every year you got to do what you got to do with this roster to win the Super Bowl that year. I think we've had some great teams. I think was it 3 years ago as Kansas City when we lost that game? That was the year. Was it 2 years? I can't remember anymore. But I think you got to play to win the Super Bowl this year. The future's important, but I think every year now is about this year because I think the clock is ticking. It could be we might have another up to 4 or 5 year run. But I think we've got a dynamic. I think we've got a great defense. We've got some great linebackers, defensive ends. I think we got guys, and it's all about the chemistry. And I think we got it, but it comes down to those darn injuries. One guy goes out, and that can change it all. But I think a guy like Joey Bosa can be like that special guy that could just really make a difference.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Joey Bosa. Oh, shit. South Florida just faked a punt and scored a touchdown. Great.
All right.
Oh, that's amazing. Amazing, Ben. Your team sucks.
Hey, guys, on that note, I'm going to
Bet
run.
on it, man.
It was great being with you.
Thanks, Drew.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
you joining
joining.
us, sir. And everybody go out there and check out the Chicken Wing Fest here on Saturday and Sunday. A great weekend for it, and we'll see you soon, Drew. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, guys. Good chatting. Take care.
All right, let me get my life back together here, and we will jump back in. I'm going to let Ben go back to his spot, and we're rolling. So, again, shout out to 71 Slicks here, our new sponsor, Monster Energy, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo. Appreciate those guys. Go out and check the Chicken Wing Fest out, National Wing Fest going on this weekend. We appreciate Drew and his support as well. So let's get into a little bit of we talked a little bit. Drew came in and ruffled the feathers a little bit, but let's talk a little bit about week 1, Buffalo versus Baltimore. Scott, what do you got?
It's going to be a football game. It's going to be fun. I am going to be tired.
Oh,
But-
yeah. We will be at the Big Tree Inn. Shout out to the Big Tree Inn, another one of our sponsors. I got to get their logo on here too, but we'll be down at the Big Tree Inn all year for the home game tailgates. Sorry to cut you off on that, but very excited, and I probably should have said it sooner. So go to the Big Tree Inn. Thursday nights are their wing night, so we're going to hopefully hop over there. I'm going to drag Ben out of his house and make him come down to the Big Tree one night. We'll get some chicken wings. Scott will be jealous because he'll be in Baltimore, unless it's maybe a week he can make it up here. But anyway, Big Tree Inn, wing nights on Thursdays. Make sure you get over there. They have really good wings. It's a lot of nostalgia there at the Big Tree. So they do a good job.
Yeah, I'm excited for week 1. Obviously, like everybody is. Tough sledding to start. We talked about it a little bit, but Ben, if Trey can't go in week 1, who would you like to see step up and play quarterback 2? You want to see Ingram, Dorian Strong, elevate Dane Jackson, Codrington? Anybody?
Well, Codrington.
Did I name enough guys for you?
I think I'd want to see Lance out there.
I would too. He could make a lot of money betting receivers over for the Ravens.
He definitely could. I don't really know, to be honest. I don't have like a major preference.
I got a mean back pedal.
Like for me personally, for wide corner 2, if it's not Trey, I don't have a major preference because I think there's an upside for every guy that you could make an argument for. Like if you put out Ingram, well, it's the guy that has some experience, has had big games before. You'd like to see maybe what he does have still some more. If you end up throwing out Dorian Strong, you see a rookie out there, but that's also a downside because it's a rookie. He could be getting burnt. Dane Jackson, we've seen him play. A veteran, has experience, but at the same time is not in the. You already know what you're going to get, and you might even get worse than what you expect. So I don't really have a major preference on that. I guess if I had to pick, just because it's week 1 and it's a very good offense, I would probably say Jamarcus Ingram just based off of experience. I would not want to throw Dorian Strong first game against Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers and just that great of an offense. So I would lean Jamarcus Ingram.
I want to see Jamarcus Ingram play outside because you're so adamant that they don't want that to happen. I would love to see him play outside.
I think he probably will in week 1, unless they go with Dane. I don't think it's going to be Dorian Strong. It would just be throwing him to the Wolves in week 1. But yeah, I'm excited to see him play outside as well. He did his rookie year when he got elevated a couple times. That crazy game against the Dolphins where everybody got hurt or heat stroke, he was playing outside corner. But again, that was out of necessity. But this kind of is too. So Yeah, I think maybe they give him a shot. Maybe if he can play well on the outside, that gives him a spot at sticking rather than just being kind of the dime corner that they bring in on the inside. Like maybe they can view him more as a cornerback 3 or 4, and maybe that gives him a spot to stick around. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Hopefully Trey White can go, and this point is moot. But moving along, Lance, how long of a leash do you give Cole Bishop? If things don't look great early, when do you make a change?
Halftime, first half. Let's see what you got. If you're lost out there, you're going to plug in probably Hamlin. So we'll see. I mean, he may not get even halftime, but I think they'll try to give him the first half, see what he's putting on out there, and then if it's not looking up to their standard, as they would say, then they're going to make the switch to Hamlin and make sure that they can be as competitive as possible in the second half.
Unless he's looking like the worst safety in the league, you play him the whole game. I genuinely, like, it's week 1. I do not care if he struggles a little bit and it's a close game, unless they're getting absolutely pumped and you need to come back and you need to make a run and the defense needs to stop. I am playing Bishop the entire game. He'll have his lumps. Yeah, he'll still have some time that he doesn't look like he's ready, but I think he'll be good enough to where you can play him the whole game. And if it's a close game, like I said, unless he's really, really struggling.
I thought that was the point of the question. I mean, I think he'll play the whole game as well. I hope nobody misconstrues that. I just think that if he's struggling, the leash would mean that you'd need to pull it. So I guess if they need, it does depend on how the game's going. But if they need, I think
it depends on how much he's struggling. Because like if he's struggling a little bit, that's one thing. But if he's like, yeah, if like you said, how you took the question of like if he's really, really struggling and they need to get back, like the defense needs to figure us out. Yeah, I mean, maybe halftime would probably be the farthest if he's really, really struggling. Maybe I just don't think you can all of a sudden say, oh yeah, halftime would be the earliest and honestly latest to me, because if you get to the third quarter, that's a major switch to make, and by the third quarter going into the fourth, like that's a pretty big switch to all of a sudden be like, oh, we're actually going to throw somebody else out there now. And unless it's an injury, like it's just a lot to ask. And I think if you do it earlier than that, that's unfair to Bishop, in my opinion. So I agree with Lance. Then if the question is, if he's really, really struggling, how long? So yeah, I would say halftime. I would agree with Lance on that.
Yeah, I think his leash is going to be pretty long. Unless he's noticeably the worst player on the field, which I guess is possible. But if it's just like normal growing pains, like I think his leash will be decently long. Like I would say even maybe a couple weeks. But people are also acting like he's never started before. Like he didn't start in the AFC Championship game last year and played fine. So I think the overreaction from people of like, oh my God, like how can we start Cole Bishop? The dude started in the AFC Championship game and he wasn't the problem. So I think he's going to be just fine. And that's another thing that we talked about in our chat earlier. Like people are, how can you start a safety with no like a young, inexperienced safety? Well, when you're paying a quarterback as much as you're paying Josh Allen, you're going to have to start most teams a few guys that have question marks. The Bills only really have one, which is pretty impressive, and kind of hats off to Brandon Beane for putting together such a good roster and keeping it all, relatively cap functional. And that's the thing, not to get into Micah Parsons again, but if you make that trade, you're going to be starting several guys who have a lot of question marks. So yeah, I think he has a pretty long leash because we've seen him play before. We've seen him play fine, and he wasn't a problem last year. I don't think he's going to be a problem this year. You guys got anything else on Cole Bishop and the safeties, or is that enough of that?
No, I mean, I guess I know the apprehension for people, but I mean, taking a couple of bad reps and extrapolating it into a whole season, that's just not necessary. I think, people do improve. People have good reps. People have bad reps. You don't know. Maybe he had to poop on one and he just didn't do well. I don't know. It's just a matter of, you don't know what's going on in those individual things. And, all joking aside, I really do think that this kid is going to be good. But again, if it's literally him, I guess I don't know how to take the leash question other than like, if he's really a problem out there, a liability, then I think the coach makes the change at halftime. But otherwise, I think he does do fine. I think he will be fine overall because the things you mentioned, playing last year, he did get some valuable experience when he was able to play, and I think he's just going to keep growing and keep ascending. He was one of the slam dunk picks for us 2 years ago in the draft. I think we like this guy fit here in Buffalo,
Yes.
and then I expected maybe third or fourth round for him, but got him in the second round, and I think he's going to be a positive impact player. People got to give it a little more time and not. It doesn't matter if they win week one; they can still have people develop and turning into everything. They're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to need their guys to be at tip top shape in the playoffs, and that's when really I want to know what Cole Bishop has.
Yeah, the moment's not going to be too big for Cole Bishop in a home game in week one. He's played an Arrowhead in the AFC Championship game. Like
Right.
he's not going to have like nervous, but like the dude's played at a high level. A lot of questions on the defensive side of the ball, which for a good reason it seems to be kind of all there is. But Lance, you got anything on the offensive side of the ball?
My questions is just it's more around different wrinkles and schemes, and I sort of have this inkling that they may use James Cook more in the passing game. He did have 32 catches, but he had like an 8 point some yard per reception last year, and I think in the playoffs he had a 10 plus yard per catch average. So I'm hoping he kind of gets over that 10 yards per catch, and then that they kind of get him up near the 40 catch range for the season. So I'm just looking at the offensive side of the ball. What are they going to focus on, or where are they going to attack? And I think the running backs play a larger role in that early on than people might think, just because Shakir is just coming back now. He missed a little bit of time. Let's see where he's at and how much in sync they can be. He can be with Josh. Then you have Palmer, who's new, trying to get in game sync with Josh in a real game. And then, the other guys have been here, obviously, but I think that Cook just got the new deal. Let's see what he can do and see if they can feature him a little bit more, especially week one, right out of the gate.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what this Josh Allen guy does. No, I really don't have many major questions about the offense. I guess if I had to pick one, it would just be how is everybody going to be used, and is the game plan going to stay pretty much similar to what it is last year? I'm guessing it will, just because if it works, why change it? So yeah, I guess I don't really have too many major questions about the offense. I do have, I guess, one of, can Dalton Kincaid finally live up to the hype that we've been hearing, and just that going into now his third season, can he really put it all together? I think he'll have a great season. I honestly think he could be the Bills' receiving leader when it comes to receptions and even maybe yards. So I'm interested to see how involved he gets, if he can live up to it. So that would, I guess, be my only question: is can Dalton Kincaid be that tight end one that we're looking for?
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how they use the receivers. It's a deeper receiver room than last year. Obviously, they kept to 6 instead of 5. And I think from top to bottom, it's much stronger. We know what Shakir is going to do. He's going to play in the slot, and he's going to get open. We think we know what Keon's going to do. He's going to play outside, and they're going to throw him contested catches, and we hope that he's developed like we think he has. But then after that, like,
what about the slants?
That's a work in progress. We've seen those go awry last season. So, and like Josh Palmer, like he's an outside guy who can separate. But are they going to use him inside? How do they use Elijah Moore? How do they use Curtis Samuel? Because you didn't really get to see him fully last year. I don't know if we'll see him fully yet this early, but
I bet Elijah Moore has at least 2 to 3 handoffs or carries on a sweep.
Yeah, exactly. Like him and Curtis Samuel are both so dynamic, and you can use in so many ways. And Joe Brady loves those kind of gadget guys, like an Isaiah McKenzie type who we had here for years, but they're both better than Isaiah McKenzie, I think. Sorry, a little dirty, but I'm excited to see how they get the ball in these guys' hands and where they line them up and how creative they get, because Joe Brady's going to have a lot of fun, I think, designing this offense. So really excited to see the new guys and how we get them the ball. And I think the offense will look pretty similar to last year because it's Brady's scheme, but they definitely have some new toys this year that they can get the ball to in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's all, all sort of positive questions, though. Just looking forward to seeing these guys perform, really. So that's really the thing that's nice about this Bills offense, and people will see that this skills group is better than its 27th or 28th rank that it got from whoever did those rankings weeks ago.
Interesting to me because I think all of our position group were ranked higher than that individually.
Yeah.
So could they, like, a running backs were like 11th. Not those lists are stupid, but it was like, I don't know how that maths, but I'm not a math guy.
This was an interesting question from John, and just we'll go, John. We want to see more of the injury report, obviously. So next week will be, but Scott may not be here next week, so just wanted to give him a chance maybe to guess here. I would go like Landon Jackson, probably inactive potentially here.
Yep.
Dorian Strong potentially. We'll see what Trey White's availability is. Maybe Trey White's inactive if he's injured.
One of those two.
And then I'm looking like
Javon Sullivan,
like Chase Lunt, maybe.
Well, if we go Landon Jackson, we're not going Javon Sullivan.
Right, we gotta have
sorry, I didn't hear Landon Jackson. I heard.
So then I'm thinking like maybe a Chase Lunt or something is inactive there, or Cedric Van Pran if his injuries.
I think it would be great. Cedric. Well, I don't know, because then like who would play center? That's the tough.
Alec Anderson could play.
Yeah, he can, but we haven't really seen him do it. So
sure.
Yeah, I would think they'd go one just because he's more versatile. Like, he can play either tackle and guard. So I think he would be active. But yeah, one of the linemen for sure.
Well,
agree with you on
Jackson. So
he doesn't play tackle, does he?
You think there's a chance that they would maybe go Jackson Hawes?
I doubt it. They usually dress.
They would want him in there. Yeah.
Yeah, but if they want to, for some reason, have Lunt, Alec Anderson, and Van Granger activated, they could say, "Oh, well,
But then, Ben, how would they run those 6 offensive lineman plays with Jackson Hawes at the 6 offensive linemen?
Scott.
You totally got me on that one. Sorry, I couldn't. All right.
Also known as tight end.
Yes, way to go, brother. You win the show with that one. So with that, guys, that'll do it for us. We'll be back next week. It'll likely be Ben, myself, and Mr. Anthony Romeo rolling out here as we get you ready for the Ravens game. And again, come down next Sunday. We'll be there. Geez, I don't know what time we're going to get there yet, but it'll be a party down at the Big Tree Inn with the Water Buffalo Club 716. Shout out to them. 97 Rock is there, and then the Big Tree with their stuff. There's Intentional Grounding, I think, is there, and everything. So there's going to be a lot of folks out at the Big Tree next Sunday. Make sure you stop by, say hello. We'll give you some Monster Energy drinks and get you all pumped up to go for the game. And with that, guys, I will say go Bills.
Go Bills.